We're going to start chapter 2 today, which is over negative numbers or integers, which would be the whole numbers. So even if they're negative, if it was -1, -2, -10, -1,000,000, if it's a whole number, it is an integer. So negative numbers and the number line. So we will be doing a little bit with number lines this chapter, and then we'll go into further lessons. So you can see Math Fact Mastery, factors of a number, multiples of a number, and absolute value. We've been working with factors and multiples already. The big idea is negative numbers are the opposite of positive numbers. For every positive number, there's a corresponding negative number. So if I have the number 3, there's a corresponding negative number, which will be -3. If I have positive 10, the negative number would be -10. If I have 1,000,000, the negative is -1,000,000. Christian worldview, the number line depicts infinity. The infinite God produces the finite world. God is eternal, past, present, and future. So that shows us infinity. So the number line goes on and on forever. We can give glory to God for how his works are displayed through his language of math. And then we can have confidence in the accuracy of our math answers when we follow the appropriate rules, such as order of operation, because God established noble truths in math. Now, if we go way back to the beginning of the year, which was actually just one chapter ago, we can remember that math is the language of science, and science is the study of God's creation. So that is our overall big overarching idea about math, that it's not just another subject to learn. We just need to keep going back and remembering that math, we study it because it's the language of science, and we study science because it's the study of God's creation. We need to fulfill the creation mandate, which can also be called the dominion mandate, because God tells us that we need to go fill the earth and subdue it. So in this chapter, when we work with those negative numbers, we can do that and remember those elements. So we already know how to represent positive numbers on a number line. We already know how to write statements of inequality for positive numbers, and we're going to be working with negative numbers this chapter. So if we have an absolute value, if I said the absolute value of 3, that would just be 3. So it's the value of this inside of here. If I said the absolute value of -3, so it's going to be the distance to 0. So -3 is 3 jumps essentially away from 0. So that would be 3. And then there can be a tricky one. So if I had 3 inside the absolute value, but the negative symbol is outside my absolute value symbol, this would be the absolute value of 3, which is 3. Remember, it's the distance to 0. And then the negative symbol is outside of the absolute value sign, so I'd put it back on. So that absolute value of 3 that's negative would be -3. So those are some examples. And remember, I said the absolute value is the distance to 0. So you can probably fill in your definition now. And then you can look up the negative number definition and opposite, either throughout your lessons as we discuss them or in your glossary in the back of your book. So if you turn the page, we're going to start on lesson 1 for chapter 2, which is over negative numbers. So we're going to first be going over number lines so that we can recognize those in real world situations. Just like last chapter, we're going to skip the learn section because it walks it out for you in your textbook, so you can go over this section in your textbook on your own if you need more help. So we're going to skip forward here to the guided practice section.